This biokinetic energy is so strong. I can't. Hey. Huh? Hey! The way you just picked up those kettlebells is wrong. And don't get me started on the way you walk. You've just failed to oscillate your kinetic energy because your ankle foot complex failed to address the proper reverse technology conundrum. This led to your neuromuscular system firing up the wrong chain of movement and therefore instigating a wildfire of kinetic waste. That's why you have a constant valgus in your gait cycle, because the world tricked you into thinking that your muscular organism was working properly, when in fact it wasn't. Stop doing this or you'll reinforce and internalize this systemic fail system of strength training. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe here. What you are about to see is a follow-up to a video I've done on functional training. If you want to watch this video first to be in the loop, then go check it out right now. But if you don't have the time, let me give you a quick summary. I was reacting to some of those time-wasting kettlebell exercises presented by functional patterns. The video itself sparked an interesting discussion in the comment section where even functional patterns was involved. Now, of course, they defended their system by referencing to their results, but when questioned about unbiased research, they couldn't deliver. And by the way, I'm all for open discussion because it leads to most of us profiting if the communication is well done, so feel free to leave a comment below. Now, before we get into the meat of things, let me highlight this quick disclaimer. Whenever we offer feedback, a critique, a review, or reaction, it is sometimes taken the wrong way. And while I know that I can't do nothing about how it is perceived by some people, I want to say the following. I believe I'm pursuing my identity as a coach, and I believe in peer-reviewed material as long as it's done in a respectful and maybe entertaining manner, and I'm not excluded from this. If you see anything that you want to critique me on, then do a video, let me know, and we can have a great discussion. At the end of the day, I want to follow the scientific approach, reduce the level of uncertainty we all have, and maybe help some people along the way. Functional training can be anything, so it means nothing. Let's compare functional training to its more robust counterparts, such as strength training, endurance training, and skill practice. Strength training is the endeavor where you improve your structural integrity, such as muscles and bones. Endurance training is the undertaking of improving the body's capacity to metabolize different substrates to work more efficiently. Skill practice is the idea of repeating the same movement pattern, depending on its specificity, to achieve a level of mastery. Now, in stark contrast, functional training merely remains in the regimen of individual workouts that everybody can define for him or herself. It even combines strength training, endurance training, and skill practice ad libitum under the fold of the same umbrella, and calls it sport-specific training or rehab.
Is there baseball strong, or is there just strong? There's only strong, right? How do you get strong? You squat, you press, you bench press, you deadlift, and then you're stronger. And then you play baseball, and you practice baseball. And now you're stronger, and you're practicing with your strength, and the strength that you're practicing with becomes specific to the sport performance that you have to show. Functional training is neither training nor practice, and this is why it's a waste of time.
Now let's go a step further and take a look at weightlifting, powerlifting, kettlebell training, and strongman training or strength athletics. Now the standards of weightlifting, for example, is the clean and jerk and the snatch, and it dates back into ancient Greece. Powerlifters focus on the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press. And it also dates back into ancient Greece and even ancient Persian times. In kettlebell training, you either follow kettlebell sport or the hard style, or you're a hybrid of the two. Kettlebells trace back into the 1700s And one of the first sports events was held around 1940-ish. Strongmen or strength athletics, for example, work with farmers' walks, sled drags, or tire flips. And strength competitions per se predate written history and go back even further than those competition aspects of lifting. Now, because these sports are dating so far back, you can say that we have a huge body of literature and evidence based upon the coaching aspects of or for these types of sports or events that we can trust in. Now, functional training, on the other hand, is what you make it out to be, and even research classifies it completely different. This golf study, for example, says that functional exercise programs include a combination of 4 types of exercises. This case report considers functional training to be a 2-week functional training program consisting of exercises chosen for a specific task simulation. And this last study was looking at the influence of high-intensity functional training duration on recovery, and they chose the CrossFit workout Grace as their functional training method. In functional training's defense, the term itself has a great history according to this great Barbend article. Yet because of its loose definition, it's been wildly and highly abused in the fitness industry, and not even in the fitness industry. There's also even a term dubbed functional medicine. And medical experts are highly critical of that idea. Maybe rehabilitation training or progressive medical fitness would be a better term, because training to be more functional includes these exercises that we've mentioned in these previous sports, or even in the research literature, a press, a squat, a deadlift, or a clean. Even farmers' walks have such a great adaptability on posture, which make them incredibly functional. If we would have to classify it, I take the description somebody left as a comment on our YouTube channel. Number 1, of or having a special activity, purpose, or task relating to the way in which something works or operates. For example, there are important functional differences between left and right brain. Number 2, designed to be practical and useful rather than attractive. I really like this one. For example, she had assumed the apartment would be functional and simple. In short, if what the person is training is not simple and straightforward to the objective the person seeks, it cannot be called functional. And here we see another big issue. Functional training participants or coaches like to talk in a very convoluted, obscure, hidden, and very formal language.
This subject is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and it's the absolute statements that are consistently made by what we're just going to call functional coaches. I don't really know what else to call them.
Hey guys, I want to talk about this Olympic lift. I want to show you guys why this decreases our athleticism and why it increases our risk of injury. And also why this is reverse movement, how this seeps into your nervous system while you're moving forwards.
All right, so notice how I said the convoluted way of speaking. Reverse movement seeps into your nervous system.
They use words like valgus, kinetic chain, locomotive patterns, or neural adaptations in their daily speak. And this is how they describe their system. And in my opinion, it's sometimes done to deviate from the fact that their philosophy of coaching is a theory, or at worst, a sales tactic. They also mastered the art of deflecting criticism as some sort of conspiracy against their revolutionary and enlightening knowledge. Because evidence-based practitioners are the evil force behind the collective called the Failuminati that wants people to fail in the gym, grab them by their throats and ankles, and destroy them through traditional lifting methods to keep people trapped in bondage in a destructive gate cycle of pain.
And that is the type of coach who is overly educated, overly technical, infuses jargon unnecessarily into every description, has long, complex, overly wordy explanations for what they do. Everything is novel, everything is hyper functional, everything is hyper varied, because you must have a beautiful mind to speak in such riddles that the average person doesn't get. You must have a beautiful mind to be able to creatively come up with all of these mystical, complex, magic movements.
One of the feedback I've received previously was that functional training has a great application in rehab. So I wanted to go a little deeper, and I called up one of our local physiotherapists who has been in business for over 30 years. We had a chat for about an hour, and it gave me a clear example of a 70-year-old woman who just had a hip replacement. In his first assessment, he'll ask what her goals are and where she wants to go, and then he takes it from there. A typical exercises he would try out, for example, is a seated or a lying leg raise, and then progress it to a standing leg raise, or even just standing on one leg only. He mentioned that sometimes people who show up in rehab or in his practice are so completely detached from moving in general that it's sometimes hard to imagine. Now combine this with an accident, or in this case a hip replacement, and you'll have to start from scratch. The resistance this older woman needs to progress is so small that it's almost impossible to comprehend if you're healthy and active. Then I went a little further and asked them about Bosu balls and instability surfaces, and he said there is a active-reactive cycle that the muscle needs. That's why these unstable surfaces have a place in the toolbox, and it is for fall prevention. So I described one of those dangerous looking kettlebell exercises from Functional Patterns in the recent video, and you know what he said? It's impossible to use these kinds of methods with people who can't even lift their leg without breaking a sweat. He also mentioned how we met Tom Myers from Anatomy Trains, and he said even a visionary like him is aware of the fact that what he's saying with the fascia in Anatomy Trains is a theory, and a theory remains to be proven, even if it has some great application and some great points. So this is how we should take functional training in general as well, depending on where it's coming from, with a big grain of salt, and surely not as gospel. Now, glancing over Functional Patterns clients, or in this case rather patients, he seems to be working with people who have a neurodegenerative disorder, and this may call for a special practice. I do agree, and this really makes sense. So come to find out, I did some research and I found an interesting study by Mahalakshmi et al. In this study with 36 patients, they performed various activities like dry land swimming and paraspinal muscle stretching for 30 minutes every day for 1 year, compared to a control group which didn't exercise at all. It was found that the treated group exhibited improved balance, mobility disorder, and cardiac function, which is great. So while I do acknowledge that rehab patients need a different kind of coaching and practice, and that swinging a kettlebell might not be the best tool for the job in that moment, I don't think that there's a special kind of magic involved as functional training coaches make it out to be. Because judging from the study, dry land swimming or working on your erector spinae muscle group can just be done with some regular exercises, which are not too far-fetched and not too crazy. Another claim that was made in the aforementioned comment section on the previous video was the apparent results with athletes that functional training seems to provide. So on that note, let me show you one of the greatest basketball players of our current generation and how he is wasting his time in the gym. And if there is a coach in this setting, he puts an immense amount of courage on display, because he values his belief in his time-wasting training philosophy over injuring a $1 million athlete. Now let me show you another example of one of the greatest boxers of our current generation, and how he is addicted to junk food, and how this addiction doesn't seem to mess with his performance at all.
He does whatever he wants to and stays in the shape that he wants. But this is how he's been doing it though. Sugar. His favorite food, sugar, candy. That's it. Candy. If it could be all day, it would be all day.
Drink soda. He eats fast food, Popeyes, Burger King, McDonald's, he's candy. You know, he does all the things that, you know, the trainers tell you not to do. You know, but he has an unbelievable metabolism. You know, he's been blessed with that, and you know, but he has a great work ethic. So, you know, he's entitled to do whatever he does if it works.
Functional training doesn't make anybody stronger. Therefore, it's a waste of everyone's time. And every athlete that's been forced to do this knows that. Who does it appear to work for? The best athletes in the world who are on D1 and professional teams, who are also wasting their potential.
Now, athletes are a different breed. You can put them on any diet or any training regimen, and most of them will still succeed because they are such a rare specimen, gifted with so much genetic ability. Plus, they display an enormous amount of work ethic on the field in their skill practice. And let me add a little scientific background as well. Common fallacy that performance is all about practice and training. For example, because body height has a strong heritability component on the order of 65 to 80%, inheriting many height-enhancing alleles is necessary if someone is to become a highly successful basketball player. 80% of your success in basketball training depends on your height or depends on your genetic alleles. People who start with high levels of a trait before exposure to exercise training are well poised to experience early success. As a final verdict, the reason why functional training seems to be a victim of constant abuse by charlatans and marketing gurus is because you can't define it. If functional training was all about rehab, then why did this one study choose a CrossFit workout as their functional training method? If functional training was a standalone practice, coaching methodology with its own exercises, then why is it considered to be functional when you do a squat? And why is it that so many practitioners and coaches get away with teaching exercises that are inherently dangerous and of no value? Maybe the answer lies in tribalism and our belief system. If people believe something, they will go to great lengths to defend it or to sign up for it. Even if you present them with rational and logical arguments that seem to indicate that their belief system doesn't work out with reality. I believe in the Bible as a Christian, and as a believer, I sometimes have to make a clear cut between believing and knowing. So thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it and consider subscribing if this was your first time on our YouTube channel. If you're looking for a kettlebell program that takes you from a beginner level to a more advanced level in 3 months and maybe combine it with some easy to follow nutrition coaching, then check out 90 Days of Kettlebells. You'll find a link in the description, 14-day free trial included.